Hello and welcome to Homestead Imaginations. Do not make this mistake when you are done, when your garden season is wrapping up. I made this mistake last year and I definitely paid the price this year in the garden. So let's go over it. The big thing is when your garden is done, you want to put down some kind of mulch, some kind of covering or a cover crop. So here I've just got a little bit of grass and it's not that much, but just the difference from right there, just me sticking my fingers in just below this, is a huge difference in temperature, and it's protecting that soil underneath, so that way it's not doesn't get dried out and doesn't get hard. So over here, another option that I've got in these gardens is I've got like a black mulch that I placed in here. I'm going to be pulling it out anyway, and I think I'll be switching to a different kind of mulch, or maybe just using straw or something else. I think this was just way too thick. I mean, it did a really good job where I did place it to prevent weeds, but I think it was too thick and it was really preventing a lot of water from getting to the plants when it did rain or when I watered the plants. So you want to make sure you cover your spots and your garden space to make sure that you're preserving the soil health and making sure it doesn't dry and get hard, because then that's going to make it hard for the roots. So a lot of the stuff this year really did not grow very well. It struggled in these gardens. Like this pepper plant just finally started taking off, like just a few weeks ago, like out of nowhere. Like it was maybe 6 inches tall, and then it just like completely boomed up, and now we've got some peppers growing on it. I don't know if I'll actually get any off of this before my season wraps up, like the frost. We're already past the projected frost date, so it's only a couple weeks away at most before we get our first frost. So I got one little pepper that I'll get off that, one red bell pepper. So that's why I'm gonna be protecting my gardens this year for next year. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm going to be taking all the mulch out, and then I've got cow manure and some compost that I've been having compost in the bins in the back, and I'm going to be placing that all in these gardens to start helping feed the soil again and break it up, so that way the soil isn't so hard. And then I'll put some kind of covering. I might, for the winter, I might just throw a tarp down and then worry about mulching it after I get the plants planted into the gardens, is what I'm thinking I'm going to do for this year. But I do want to get some kind of mulch in here that will eventually break down. So like I'm thinking of like maybe like a straw, which I'm using. It's like a straw-like substance from my back fields. So I've been using it for the strawberry patches, and it's been helping. I need to do a little bit thicker, especially in this one, but it's definitely helps protecting the soil so far in these strawberry patches, and that'll go a long way in protecting your soil. So then other projects, other things I wanted to cover is, all right, like, so as the garden winds down, you got a little bit more time. I have a lot more time. I don't have much left to grow. I've got butternut squash that's, I think, probably about ready to harvest, and then I've got that pepper that's almost done, and then a head of cauliflower in these two beds, or two raised gardens, not raised gardens, these two gardens. And then in the raised bed, I've got some beets and some carrots to harvest. And then once those are done, I'm basically done for the garden. So in the meantime, what I'm going to be doing is I've got around these, I've got chicken wire. But even though it's not very big of a space right here, in certain spots where it lines up perfectly, either the young bunnies can still hop through and they're still getting into the garden. So I'm going to take this off, and then I'm going to put a smaller hold chicken wire around the fence. And then I'm going to be like digging around the gardens all the way around, and then placing like this felt that I have to prevent the weeds from growing into the garden, because it's a nightmare. The grass, the weeds, it's all growing. So like I'm going to be styling this out. I'm going to be putting this fabric down, then eventually getting like the weed fabric and placing that down, and then getting like nice stone, so we'll have nice stone walkways in between all the gardens. But until I can do that, I at least need to get these gardens set up so that way the weeds stop growing into them and save myself a ton of time, because I just don't have time to sit there and weed all the time. Another thing that I'm working on is this raised bed, which I'm calling Garganticus, and it's almost done. I might be able to finish it today, right after this video. I'm in the process of putting soil mixed with sand to fill it all the way from the rest of the way up, and then that'll be ready, and then I'll do some kind of covering, maybe grass clippings on that as well to cover it, or something else, or maybe the straw. Probably grass clippings, because I'll probably have more of that than I will have of the straw. Another thing that I gotta do is the strawberries. You need to cut them, cut all the leaves off, and then completely like put lots of layers of the straw to insulate them, so that way they're well protected through the winter. So I'll be doing that to the strawberry patches. That garden's already set. Those, again, I'll be doing the compost, and whatever compost I have left will go into some of the other gardens. And then I've got the chicken coop, which I've got to put the nesting. It's like all their nesting boxes with like a little, I'm trying to think of, it came outward from the chicken coop. So to even get it here, we had to cut that off just to be able to fit it into the dump trailer that we had. And so now I gotta reassemble and re-secure that back on. So I've got to do that before the winter and get the chicken coop where its final home is gonna be, because right now it's just sitting in the yard. It's not where I want it to be. I want it to move it a little bit closer to the front of the house, because where it is, we really can't see it through any of our windows, because the garage blocks our house, any of our windows, it would block it. So I want to be able to at least see it, so that way if there's anything going on, there's predators in the area, so I want to make sure that I can at least see the chicken coop at all times, and make sure that if I'm home, like, I can see them. They're also going to free range. So I think that's it of projects that I've got left that I want to try and accomplish for this year. So my project list is it's getting there. Definitely a lot left to do. It's going to take quite a bit, but I'll be working on this easily until like before snowfall, because that's going to take quite a bit. And then that'll set me up perfectly for next year, which I'm super excited about. Learned a lot this year, a real lot. Like, definitely one of the things I'm most proud about of this year is just the fact that, like, I learned a lot. Like, lots of things happened, lots of things went wrong, but I figured a lot of the things out, what I did wrong. Some of the stuff was trial and error stuff. So a definitely big, huge learning this year. So I'm super excited for next year, because it's going to be so much better now that I've gotten fully into composting. And then another thing that I've got going on that I'll be able to do over the winter is I've got red wiggler. I got 2 bins of red wiggler worms that I am basically raising them, trying to get the population up, and then have more and more bins, but get that vermicast going, so that way I can even sprinkle some of that on top of when I plant the plants, be able to sprinkle that on top, so during the season all those nutrients will water right down into the soil and feed the soil even more on top of all the composting. So that's what we got going on for this fall to wrap up the season. I'm a little bummed it's ending, because I've really enjoyed my time this year out in the gardens, outside, working on all these different projects, getting different stuff going. And the winter for me in New York is going to be really slow. There's not going to be a whole lot going on from a homesteading standpoint, besides a lot of research and learning. I'll be definitely learning how to do a lot of different things. I'll be growing some new stuff next year, so I'll be learning how to do that over the winter. And then one of the big projects over the winter is to be planting the food forest. So I've got 3 fruit trees, and I got 2 elderberry bushes out there. The elderberry bushes, once it gets to winter, I'm most likely going to be digging those up and transplanting them, because they're not really going to fit the plan for the food forest. So that I'm super excited about. I'm looking at probably at least getting 20 trees throughout this spot and having the rows, and then in between all the trees going to be having like different perennials, different bushes, different vegetables growing, then some vine plants. Eventually I'll have I want to get grapes out here and kiwi and all that kind of stuff, so that way it is legit a food forest, and get that going. I'm super excited for that, especially seeing that it's going to take a few years before they even start producing any fruit. So like, I really want to get on top of it. So that's what I'll be doing over the winter. And I'll be posting videos, you know, showing what my plan is, why am I getting certain trees, why am I designing it this certain way, and so there'll still be content even during the winter, but definitely a lot of learning over the winter to get ready for next year, but still a lot of work to do this year. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you cover your soil, protect it, make sure it stays nice and healthy, so that way your plants will be nice and healthy next year. And if you like the video, please share it with friends, family. Every little bit helps. I'm at 95 subs, almost to 100. It's been a long road, but we're gonna get there one day at a time. So thank you for watching. I appreciate every one of you, and I will catch you next time. Keep the imagination rolling. Take care. Bye-bye.